The dinner that started everything. I'm sitting at my childhood dining table, staring at the same scratched wood where I used to do homework, trying to share what should be good news. I'd just gotten promoted to senior marketing manager at TechFlow Solutions, decent pay, my own team, actual respect at work. But knowing my parents, this conversation was about to go sideways. So I got promoted, I said, cutting into Mom's overcooked pot roast. That's nice, honey, Mom smiled, but I could see the worry lines already forming. She knew me too well. And I've been thinking about that MBA program. The evening won its date. With this promotion, I can finally afford it. The fork hitting Dad's plate sounded like a gunshot in the sudden silence. Jesus Christ, here we go again, Dad muttered, running his hand through his thinning hair. What's that supposed to mean? Mom jumped in with that fake sweet voice she uses when she thinks she's being helpful. Sweetie, you just got promoted. Can't you just enjoy it? Be grateful for once. I am grateful. I'm also ambitious. There's a difference. Dad leaned back, crossing his arms. No, there's a difference between being ambitious and being impossible to please. Your brother Jake works at Morrison Logistics, comes home, watches TV, goes fishing. He's happy. When's the last time you were actually happy? I felt that familiar burning in my chest. When's the last time Jake made enough money to move out of his studio apartment? Money isn't everything, Mom said, reaching over to pat my hand like I was 12. Jake has balance. Peace. Maybe if you weren't so intense about everything, you'd have time for a relationship. You're 28. Don't you want to settle down? I want to build something first. Build what? Dad threw his napkin down. You've got a good job, nice apartment, new car. What more do you need to prove? Who are you trying to impress? Maybe I'm trying to not waste my life. The silence that followed was the kind that makes your ears ring. Mom's eyes got that hurt look she perfected when I was a teenager. So we wasted our lives, she whispered. Shit. That came out wrong. That's not what I meant. Your mother worked 2 jobs to put you through college. Dad's voice was quiet but sharp. I've been at the same company for 30 years. We're proud of what we built. But it's never enough for you, is it? I stared at my plate, that familiar knot forming in my stomach. The same feeling I'd had since high school whenever I got excited about anything, scholarships, internships, job offers. Like wanting more made me ungrateful. Like ambition was selfishness in disguise. There's nothing wrong with being content, Mom said softly. With appreciating what you have. There's nothing wrong with wanting more either. Isn't there? Dad asked. Because from where I'm sitting, you look miserable most of the time. Always stressed, always chasing the next thing. What happens when you get that MBA? Then you'll need a better job. Then a bigger house. When does it end? I didn't have an answer for that. Because honestly, I didn't know when it would end. I just knew I felt suffocated every time someone told me to stop reaching. The rest of dinner was awkward small talk about weather and neighborhood gossip. I helped with dishes, kissed them goodbye, and drove home feeling like a selfish brat who'd somehow disappointed everyone just by wanting to grow. That night, I stared at the MBA application on my laptop screen until my eyes burned. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was pushing too hard. Maybe I should just be happy with my promotion and call it a life. But every time I tried to close the laptop, something in my chest rebelled. Like giving up on myself before I'd even really tried. 3 months later, I'd find out exactly why that rebellion mattered. The call that changed everything. Sunday morning, 9:47 a.m. I was making coffee when Mom called, and I could tell something was wrong before she even spoke. Jake got laid off yesterday. The coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the kitchen floor. What? From Morrison? But he's been there 5 years. Budget cuts. They eliminated his whole department. Her voice cracked. 12 people just gone. I stood there staring at coffee and ceramic pieces spreading across my floor, thinking about how Jake had always been Mom and Dad's example of doing things right. Steady job, no big dreams, no complicated ambitions. How's he taking it? He's trying to stay positive, but you know how it is out there. Especially for someone without a degree. Most places want experience he doesn't have or education he can't afford. I grabbed paper towels, kneeling to clean up the mess while my brain started spinning. Mom, my company has this internship program. Oh honey, that's sweet, But Jake's not really the office type. You know how he is with all that corporate stuff. Actually, it's perfect for him. They need someone in supply chain coordination who understands logistics from the ground up. Jake's got 5 years of warehouse experience. That's worth more than any degree. Silence. I could practically hear her trying to find a polite way to shut this down. I just don't think Jake would be comfortable in that environment. He's never even worn a tie. Mom, he's 26 years old and he's smart as hell. The only difference between him and the college kids they usually hire is that he actually knows how this stuff works in real life. But what if he doesn't fit in? What if he says something wrong or doesn't understand the corporate culture? I finished cleaning up the coffee, frustration building in my chest. What if he's exactly what they need? What if this is a shot at building something bigger than paycheck to paycheck? I don't know, it seems like a long shot. Mom, can you just give me his number? Let me talk to him. Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to ask. But I could hear it in her voice. She didn't believe Jake could do it. Just like she didn't believe I should try for more than good enough. The difference was, I was about to prove her wrong about both of us. Convincing Jake. I called Jake that afternoon. He answered on the 4th ring, sounding like he'd been asleep. Hey sis. Mom told you about Morrison. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. That really sucks. It is what it is. I'll find something else. Always do. His voice was flat, resigned. Like he'd already accepted that this was just how life worked. You get comfortable, then life kicks you in the teeth. Actually, that's why I'm calling. I might have something for you. I explained the internship program at TechFlow. How they needed someone with practical logistics experience. How it could turn into a real career with benefits, vacation days, and salary that would actually let him save money. I don't know, Jake said when I finished. I don't have a degree. I've never worked anywhere that wasn't a warehouse. I don't even know what half those job titles mean. Jake, you've been coordinating supply chains for 5 years. Every time you figured out truck loading sequences, tracked missing shipments, optimized warehouse layouts, that's the job. You just didn't have the fancy title. But I don't know how to talk to those corporate people. What if I say something stupid? What if they realize I don't belong there? That question hit me like a punch to the gut. You absolutely belong there. You know more about how supply chains actually work than any MBA they could hire. Come on. Those college kids know all the theories and software and business terms. Jake, listen to me. Last month, our supply chain manager spent 3 days trying to figure out why shipments to Denver were always delayed. You want to know what the problem was? The loading dock scheduling software didn't account for altitude affecting truck engine performance. You would have spotted that in 5 minutes. Silence on the other end. You really think I could do this? I know you can. The question is, do you want to spend the rest of your life wondering what might have happened if you'd tried? Another long pause. What if I screw up? What if I embarrass you at your job? My throat got tight. Jake, you could never embarrass me. You're my brother. And you're not going to screw up because I'm going to help you every step of the way. I don't own a suit. We'll get you a suit. I don't know how to write a resume for office work. We'll figure it out together. I've never been in a job interview for anything other than warehouse work. Then it's time you learned what you're actually worth. He sighed, and I could hear him making the decision. Okay, let's try it. Jake. Yeah, this could change everything for you. But you have to believe you deserve it. I'll try. Good. Because in 2 weeks, you're going to walk into that interview and show them exactly why they need you. I had no idea I was about to need him just as much. 2 weeks of transformation. Jake came over every night after his job hunting. We'd sit at my kitchen table with coffee and legal pads, turning 5 years of warehouse experience into corporate gold. Tell me about a time you had to solve a complex problem, I said, reading from a list of interview questions I'd printed. Jake scratched his head. There was this thing with damaged shipments. Management kept yelling at the drivers, but I noticed it was only happening with certain products. What did you do? Spent a few days watching the loading process. Turned out the new guys were stacking boxes by size instead of reading the fragile labels. Heavy stuff was crushing the delicate items. So how did you fix it? Made a color coding system. Green tape for fragile, red for heavy, yellow for temperature sensitive. Trained everyone on it. Damage complaints dropped like 80%. I grinned, scribbling notes. Jake, you identified a systematic problem, analyzed root causes, developed a solution, implemented training protocols, and measured results. That's exactly what they want to hear. I just used colored tape. You designed a visual management system that improved operational efficiency and customer satisfaction. See the difference? We spent hours translating his experience into business language. Inventory management instead of keeping track of stuff. Cross-functional collaboration instead of working with different departments. Process optimization instead of finding better ways to do things. The night before his interview, we went shopping for his first suit. Jake stood in the men's warehouse dressing room looking like he was wearing a costume. I feel like a fraud, he said, adjusting the jacket. You look like someone who deserves a career instead of just a job. What if they see right through me? I looked at him seriously. Jake, you've been working since you were 18. You've never called in sick unless you were actually sick. You've never missed a deadline. You show up every day and solve problems and make things better. You don't need to pretend to be someone else. You just need to help them see who you already are. He straightened his shoulders. You really believe in me, don't you? I've always believed in you. The question is when you'll start believing in yourself. But even I didn't realize how much this interview would change everything. Interview day. The morning of Jake's interview, I offered to drive him because his car was making that concerning rattling sound again. But mostly because I could see he was nervous. We sat in the TechFlow parking lot watching people in business clothes walking into the building. Jake was fidgeting with his new tie. See that guy in the blue suit? I pointed to a man about Jake's age heading toward the entrance. He probably makes $60,000 a year and doesn't know the first thing about how products actually get from point A to point B. You could teach him more about logistics in one afternoon than he learned in 4 years of college. What if I freeze up? What if I can't think of anything to say? Then you tell them about the time you saved Morrison $3,000 by rearranging the loading dock layout. Or about the inventory tracking system you created on Excel. Or about any of the 100 other things you've done that prove you know this business. Jake took a deep breath. Okay, here goes nothing. Jake. Yeah. Remember, they need you as much as you need them. Maybe more. I watched him walk toward the building, my little brother in his first suit, carrying the portfolio we'd put together with his resume and examples of his work. He looked back once, gave me a thumbs up, then disappeared through the glass doors. The interview was supposed to last an hour. After 90 minutes, I started getting nervous. After 2 hours, I was convinced something had gone wrong. Finally, Jake emerged with a weird expression on his face. Not quite a smile, but not disappointment either. How did it go? I asked before he'd even closed the car door. I think it went really well. They kept me longer because they wanted to show me around the logistics center. That's a good sign. What did they ask you? Lots of questions about process improvement and working with difficult people. About times I've had to adapt to changes or solve problems under pressure. He paused. It was weird. I actually felt like I knew what I was talking about. Because you do know what you're talking about. The coolest part was the Logistics Coordination Center. They have these massive screens showing real-time shipment tracking across the whole country. It's like a high-tech version of the whiteboards we used at Morrison. Did they say when you'd hear back? End of the week. But Sarah, the hiring manager, seemed really interested when I told her about the time I redesigned the receiving process to handle holiday volume. She said most of their coordinators understand the software, but have never actually worked on a loading dock. Jake was quiet for a moment, staring out the window. You know what's crazy? For the first time in my life, I felt like my experience actually mattered. Like all those years at Morrison weren't just time I was killing until something better came along. They weren't. You were learning a trade. You just didn't realize how valuable that trade was. That night, Jake texted me, "Thanks for pushing me to try this. Even if I don't get it, I feel different about myself." 3 days later, everything changed. The call that changed my life too. I was in a meeting about Q4 marketing strategies when my desk phone rang. Sarah from HR. Hi, I wanted to let you know about your brother's interview before we call him. My stomach dropped. Okay, we'd like to offer him the position. I may have made an embarrassing squeaking noise. He really impressed everyone. His practical experience and problem-solving approach stood out significantly. We think he could bring exactly the kind of perspective we've been missing. Sarah, thank you so much for giving him this chance. Actually, we should be thanking you. Finding someone with his combination of experience and work ethic is rare. Where did you find him? I laughed. He's my little brother. 20 minutes later, Jake called me, and I could hear him grinning through the phone. I got it. They offered me the position. Jake, I'm so proud of you. The salary is. He paused, and his voice got quiet. It's almost double what I was making at Morrison. With actual benefits. Health insurance, dental, 3 weeks vacation. I've never had vacation days before. This is just the beginning. If you do well, and I know you will, this could turn into something bigger than either of us imagined. I can't believe this is real. 6 months ago, I thought I'd be loading trucks for the rest of my life. But here's the thing nobody tells you about helping someone else succeed: it changes you too. Watching Jake discover what he was capable of made me realize something about myself. All those years of my family telling me I wanted too much, that I should be satisfied with good enough, they weren't protecting me from disappointment. They were protecting themselves from having to acknowledge what was possible. And now I was about to show them exactly what too ambitious could accomplish. The new Jake. 3 weeks into Jake's internship, I barely recognized the person sitting across from me at lunch. Same face, same voice, but everything else was different. We're implementing a new inventory management system, he said, cutting into his sandwich with the confidence of someone who belonged exactly where he was. I suggested they pilot it in one department first, because I've seen what happens when companies try to change everything at once. Look at you, giving strategic advice to management. It's insane. They actually listen to me. At Morrison, I was just another body. Here, they want my input on everything from software selection to workflow design. Jake pulled out his phone to show me screenshots of spreadsheets he'd created. See this? I built a tracking system that shows real-time inventory levels across all our distribution centers. It took me 3 days, and it's saving them 12 hours of manual work every week. Jake, that's incredible. The best part is, I finally understand what I'm good at. All those years, I thought I was just a warehouse guy. But I'm actually really good at seeing how systems connect, at finding the problems nobody else notices. He looked up from his phone, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Pride. Real, genuine pride in his work. Oh, and Sarah told me yesterday that they're already planning to offer me a full-time position when the internship ends. Senior Supply Chain Coordinator. My own team, my own projects. Jake, that's amazing. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm actually excited to go to work every day. I wake up thinking about projects I want to finish, problems I want to solve. I never knew work could feel like this. Watching my brother discover his potential was incredible. But it also made me realize something that would completely change how I saw my family. They hadn't been protecting me from disappointment all these years. They'd been protecting themselves from feeling left behind. Planning the perfect moment. I waited 3 more weeks before bringing up Jake's job at family dinner. I wanted him to be settled, confident, undeniably successful before I revealed my role in his transformation. Call it petty, but I'd been carrying that too ambitious comment for months. And now I had the perfect response. The setup was flawless. We were all around the dining room table, the same table where they'd made me feel guilty for wanting more. Mom had made her famous lasagna, Dad was in a good mood because his team had won some game, and Jake was glowing with the confidence of someone who'd just discovered what he was capable of. So Jake, I said, cutting into my lasagna, how's work going? His whole face lit up. Mom, Dad, I have to tell you guys what's been happening. This job is incredible. What kind of work are you doing exactly? Dad asked. Supply chain coordination. I manage inventory flow across multiple distribution centers, optimize delivery routes, work with different departments to improve efficiency. The business terms rolled off his tongue like he'd been using them his whole life. That sounds complicated, Mom said. It is, but it's also fascinating. Like, last week I identified a bottleneck in our Chicago hub that was causing delays across the entire Midwest. We rerouted 30% of the shipments and cut delivery times by 2 days. Dad sat up straighter. You did that. Yeah. And the crazy part is management actually implements my suggestions. Yesterday, Sarah, she's my supervisor, told me they're adopting my quality control checklist company-wide. Mom beamed. Honey, we're so proud of you. The best part is the future potential. Sarah says they're already planning to offer me a full-time position when my internship ends. Senior Supply Chain Coordinator. It comes with a salary I never dreamed of making. This was it. My moment. That's wonderful, Jake. I'm so glad the opportunity at my company worked out for you. The silence was immediate and complete. Dad's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Mom's smile froze. Your company? Dad said slowly. Jake grinned, completely oblivious to the bomb he was about to drop. Yeah, she works at TechFlow Solutions too. She's a senior marketing manager there. I watched my parents' faces as the reality hit them. The same company where I'd gotten promoted. The same promotion they'd said I should be satisfied with. The same job they'd used as an example of me never being content with what I had. You. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. You set this up. I recommended Jake for the internship program, yes. But he earned the position entirely on his own merit. The silence stretched on. I could hear the wall clock ticking, could hear someone's dog barking 3 houses away. Finally, Dad set down his fork. This internship Jake's so excited about, it's a good opportunity? Dad, it's life-changing, Jake said. Companies are desperate for people with supply chain experience right now. This could set me up for the next 20 years. And you were able to help him because... I met Dad's eyes directly. Because I spent the last 6 years building my career instead of settling for good enough. Because all that networking and ambition you thought was excessive actually put me in a position to change my brother's life. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. The promotion I got, the one you said I should be satisfied with? That's what gave me the influence to get Jake this interview. The company connections I built while being too ambitious? That's what opened this door for him. The room was dead silent except for the sound of my heart pounding. Dad's voice cracked. We may have been wrong about your career goals. A little wrong? Jake looked confused, glancing between us. What's going on? 6 months ago, at this same table, Mom and Dad told me I was too ambitious. That I should be happy with my promotion and stop pushing for more. Jake's eyes widened. Seriously? They said I should be more like you. Content with a steady job, not always chasing the next thing. But if you had been content, Jake said slowly, you wouldn't have been in a position to help me. Exactly. Mom reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Sweetheart, we owe you an apology. We thought your ambition was about proving something to other people. We didn't understand that it was about building something bigger than yourself. It was partly about proving something, I admitted. But mostly it was about not wasting what I'm capable of. And it turns out, when you don't waste your potential, you create opportunities for other people too. Dad nodded slowly. We were trying to protect you from disappointment. But we were probably protecting ourselves from feeling left behind. That admission hit me harder than I expected. You were never going to be left behind. I was trying to build something big enough for all of us. Jake looked at our parents. She saw potential in me that I didn't even know I had. When I got laid off, I was ready to find another warehouse job and call it good. She pushed me to reach for something better. And now? I asked. Mom wiped her eyes. Now we're thinking we should have been supporting your dreams instead of questioning them. Perfect. This was exactly how I'd imagined this conversation going. My family finally understanding that my ambition wasn't selfish, it was strategic. That reaching higher meant lifting others up too. But then Dad asked a question that completely changed everything. What happens next? The question that changed everything. What do you mean? I asked. Dad leaned forward. I mean, what's your next goal? Now that you've proven your point about ambition, what's next? I opened my mouth to mention the MBA program, but something in his tone made me pause. He wasn't being dismissive. He was genuinely asking. I got accepted to that MBA program I mentioned. Evening classes start next month. This time, nobody sighed. Instead, Mom clapped her hands together. That's wonderful. Will you be able to handle it with your current workload? It'll be challenging, but the skills I learn could help me advance even further in the company. Maybe eventually I'll be in a position to create more programs like the one that helped Jake. You mean help more people? Jake asked. Exactly. What if this internship program could be expanded? What if we could partner with community colleges to create pathways for people without degrees? What if ambition wasn't just about personal success, but about building systems that create opportunities for everyone? The conversation that followed was unlike any we'd had as a family. Instead of questioning my goals, they started asking how they could help. Mom mentioned her friend's son who'd been struggling to find work after community college. Dad talked about guys from his plant who were smart but stuck in dead-end positions. You know what's funny? Jake said as we were clearing dishes. 6 months ago, I thought ambition was something other people had. Like it was a personality trait you were born with or without. What do you think now? Now I think ambition is contagious. Watching you reach for more made me realize I could reach for more too. As I drove home that night, I realized something important. The victory I'd been planning for months, proving my family wrong about my ambition, had turned into something completely different. Instead of proving them wrong, I'd shown them what was possible. And instead of feeling vindicated, I felt responsible. Because now Jake was talking about getting his bachelor's degree. My parents were asking how they could help other families navigate career transitions. And I was realizing that my too ambitious story wasn't ending with this dinner. It was just beginning. The real victory. 3 months later, Jake called me at work with news that would change everything again. I got promoted. Senior supply chain coordinator, my own team, and the salary. He paused. It's more money than Dad made when he was my age. Jake, that's incredible. But that's not the best part. They want me to help design a new internship pipeline. Specifically for people with warehouse and logistics experience who don't have degrees. I almost dropped my phone. What? They realized that hiring me was their best decision in years. Now they want to replicate it. Find more people like me, people with practical experience who just need a chance to prove themselves in a corporate environment. You're going to help design the program? Yeah, and they want me to be one of the primary interviewers. They figure I'll know how to spot potential in unconventional candidates. I sat there staring at my computer screen, realizing that my brother had just described my dream job. Jake, that's exactly what I've been hoping the company would do. I know. That's why I told Sarah you should be involved too. From the business development side. You what? I told her about your MBA work, your experience with strategic planning, your ideas about expanding opportunity programs. She wants to meet with both of us next week. That meeting led to the most exciting project of my career, designing a comprehensive workforce development program that would partner with community colleges, local businesses, and our company to create career pathways for people without traditional qualifications. But the real victory happened 6 months later at another family dinner. Full circle. So tell me about this new program you two are working on, Dad said, passing the mashed potatoes. Jake and I exchanged glances. We'd been waiting for this moment. It's called the Bridge Program, I said. We partner with community colleges and local businesses to identify people with practical experience who want to transition into corporate careers. Like what Jake did? Exactly, but systematized. We provide interview training, professional development, mentorship, and a guaranteed internship track for people who complete the program. Jake leaned forward excitedly. The best part is, it's not charity. These candidates often outperform traditional hires because they have real-world experience and incredible work ethic. How many people have gone through it so far? Mom asked. 15 in our pilot program, I said. 12 have been hired full-time by various companies in the region. And next year, we're expanding to serve 100 candidates, Jake said. 3 other companies have agreed to participate, and the community college is creating specific curriculum tracks to support it. Dad set down his fork and looked at us both. So your ambition led to Jake's opportunity, which led to him developing expertise in workforce development, which led to us creating a program that will help hundreds of people over the next few years, I finished. And it all started because you wouldn't settle for good enough, Mom said quietly. It started because I realized that individual success doesn't mean much if you can't share it with the people you care about. Jake grinned. Plus, now I'm the ambitious one too. Did you know I'm applying for my bachelor's degree? Evening classes, just like someone else I know. Jake, that's amazing. I figure if I'm going to help other people navigate career transitions, I should understand both sides of the experience. Plus, he looked a little embarrassed. I like learning now. I like pushing myself to grow. The room got quiet, but it was a different kind of quiet than 6 months ago. This was the silence of people processing something meaningful. I owe you both an apology, Dad said finally. We spent years trying to protect you from wanting too much, when we should have been asking how we could help you achieve more. You don't need to apologize. You were being parents. But I'm glad you understand now that ambition isn't about being dissatisfied with what you have. It's about being excited by what you could create. And what you could create for other people, Mom added. Exactly. As I drove home that night, I thought about the story I'd been telling myself for months. The one where my family finally recognized my worth, where I proved that my ambition was justified, where I got to be right about reaching for more. That story had come true, but it wasn't the end I'd expected. Instead of feeling vindicated, I felt grateful. Instead of proving them wrong, we'd all grown into better versions of ourselves. My parents learned that supporting someone's ambition doesn't mean you're not enough. Jake learned that he was capable of more than he'd ever imagined. And I learned that the best kind of ambition isn't about climbing higher than everyone else. It's about building ladders strong enough to hold everyone you care about. 1 year later, I'm sitting in my MBA strategic leadership class when my phone buzzes with a text from Jake. Bridge program just got approved for statewide expansion. 500 participants next year. Also, got accepted to state's business program. Looks like ambition really is contagious. I smile and put my phone away. The professor is talking about leveraging resources to create sustainable impact, but I'm thinking about something else entirely. Last week, I got promoted to Director of Workforce Development. My job is literally to find ways to help people discover and develop their potential. Jake is now the Regional Coordinator for Career Transition Programs across 3 states. Together, we've helped create opportunities for over 200 people in the past year. My parents have become the Bridge program's biggest advocates, volunteering at information sessions and telling everyone about their daughter, who saw the bigger picture, and their son, who proves that potential comes in many forms. But the real victory isn't in the numbers or the promotions or the family validation. It's in the realization that happened somewhere between that first painful dinner and now. I wasn't too ambitious. I was exactly ambitious enough. Ambitious enough to push past my own comfort zone. Ambitious enough to see potential in my brother when he couldn't see it in himself. Ambitious enough to turn personal success into something that could benefit hundreds of other people. The funny thing about being called too ambitious is that it implies there's a limit to how much good you should try to create in the world. As if wanting to build something meaningful is somehow excessive. But I've learned that the opposite is true. The world needs more people who are too ambitious, people who refuse to accept that things have to stay the way they are, who see potential where others see problems, who believe that individual success is only meaningful if it creates opportunities for others. Jake texted me again. By the way, Emma and I are engaged. Turns out confidence is attractive. Thanks for teaching me what believing in yourself looks like. I text back, congratulations. Can't wait to see what you two build together. Because that's what ambition really is. It's not about taking more than your share. It's about building something so substantial, so meaningful, so full of possibility that there's room for everyone you love to grow alongside you. My family was wrong about one thing. I wasn't too ambitious. I was just getting started. This sensitive person's success story proves that overcoming sensitivity in business isn't about hiding who you are. It's about embracing your emotional intelligence in business as your greatest asset. Through family business drama and proving family wrong, this sensitive entrepreneur story shows how family doubted me's success can fuel extraordinary achievement. Making high salary fast while staying authentic demonstrates that family conflict business success happens when you're sensitive but successful. Family business challenges become opportunities when emotional sensitivity strength guides your decisions. This business success story sensitive person reveals how proving family wrong story starts with proving yourself right. Your sensitivity is your superpower, use it. Subscribe for more stories about turning your weaknesses into wealth. Comment below, what has someone told you that you're too much of? Check out our free training on building a heart-centered business. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message.